Hey everyone, and welcome to today's explainer. So, over the next 9 minutes, we are going to break down exactly what levels of wealth exist, how we divide them up, and how they fundamentally differ in strategy and mindset. Because, we often think of wealth as just a magical number in a checking account, or maybe a massive house. But as the data shows, it's actually a ladder, and today we're climbing it.
Here's the exact agenda for today. We'll start right at the bottom with survival and struggle, move up into financial stability, then navigate the middle-class trap, hit true independence, and finally, look at extreme wealth. Okay, let's dive into this. The psychological gap between the ends of this ladder is, well, it's absolutely massive. On one end, an unexpected $400 car repair literally equals an eviction notice. But on the exact opposite end, chartering a private jet for $27,000 feels exactly the same as spending $43 for a normal everyday purchase. This isn't just about the math. It's a complete, fundamental shift in mental load.
So let's start at level 1, survival and struggle.
Let's take a security guard making roughly $12.50 an hour as an example. The math just doesn't work out. Housing eats up over 40% of their income right off the bat, and transport takes another huge chunk. But here's the real kicker, that 10% figure. That is how much is drained just by healthcare and copays, and that's even with government assistance. There's zero buffer for emergencies here. Life is pretty much defined by the constant looming threat of debt. And the absolute biggest hurdle here is what we call the systemic trap. The whole system is built on the assumption that you've got basic adult paperwork, right? If you lose your housing, you lose your address. Well, without an address, you can't get a job. And without an ID or a job, you can't even open a basic free checking account. You are effectively locked out of modern society, caught in this vicious cycle with really no obvious way out.
Which brings us to level 2, achieving financial stability. How does someone actually escape that crisis zone?
Well, the escape route is actually highly tactical. Steps 1 and 2 are just about getting back into the system. You've got to get a government-issued ID and open a free bank account. But step 3 is absolutely crucial. Building a $1,000 buffer. That small cushion, it's literally the firewall that stops a flat tire from throwing you into a total tailspin of payday loans and eviction. It transforms a potential life-ruining crisis into, well, just a really bad Tuesday.
But here's the thing. A lot of people escape that survival zone only to end up just treading water in this messy middle. You might feel like you're managing fine, but that's really only because debt and credit cards are quietly subsidizing your lifestyle. You're living paycheck to paycheck, and there's no real protective wall between earning and spending. To actually move forward, you have to build that wall. Let's look at level 3, comfort and the middle-class trap.
So if your income steadily rises, let's say you're hitting that 6-figure mark. On paper, things look fantastic, but structurally, you are incredibly vulnerable. This comfort level is exactly where most people just stall out. The biggest dangers lurking here are lifestyle inflation and this constant urge to upgrade your house or your car just to keep up with your peers. It's essentially a well-paying leash. You're still directly trading your time for money. If you were to stop working tomorrow, that expensive lifestyle collapses in a matter of months.
Actually, here's a truly fascinating statistic. 75% of millionaires don't even consider themselves wealthy. Crazy, right? The culprit is lifestyle creep. The second you earn more, you suddenly feel like you can get a bigger house or, a luxury vacation. And every single time you make one of those purchases, you reset the clock on your compounding interest. You might be super comfortable, but you aren't actually free.
To break out of that, your entire mindset has to shift. Welcome to level 4, true independence and wealth.
I love how money expert Morgan Housel puts it. He says, to me, the highest form of wealth is controlling your time. See, at the multimillionaire level, money stops being a direct trade for labor. A truly wealthy person uses their money as a tool to literally buy back their freedom. You stop running errands, you outsource the daily chores, simply because your own time has a significantly higher value. The mechanics at this level completely change. The goal isn't landing one massive paycheck anymore. It's about building combined passive income streams. Think like $20,000 a month rolling in without you lifting a finger. You get there through extreme diversification. We're talking real estate, equities, businesses. And this is key, you apply zero lifestyle inflation. Your capital generates more capital, and working, well, that just becomes entirely optional. Now, let's move way up into the stratosphere. Level 5, extreme wealth.
At this tier, we're talking about ultra high net worth individuals with over $30 million. Here, money behaves more like an institution. And a lot of this comes down to the 0.01% rule. For the super rich, massive expenses feel financially trivial. I mean, think about it. Spending $28,000 to fix your teeth feels mathematically the exact same as someone earning $100,000 spending $112. They aren't living on a salary. They're living on the appreciation of a massive empire of assets. And at this extreme level, you don't just have a personal banker. You have a family office. This is an entire dedicated team handling your investments, your taxes, all the legalities. The biggest risk for these folks is no longer losing money. It's losing momentum. Wealth stays wealthy through the multiplier effect of exclusive access. They get into private deals in venture capital that the average person never, ever gets to see.
Now, zooming out for a second, looking at the macro picture of the wealth gap over the last century shows a pretty striking trend. 100 years ago, wealth was extremely concentrated at the very top. Then, during the 1980s, the working class actually rose up and the gap narrowed significantly. But today, that curve has totally reversed and the gap is rapidly widening right back into a massive chasm.
Just look at this global wealth data. It really highlights how wide that gap has become. The top 1% currently holds 10 times more wealth than the entire bottom 50% combined. Let that sink in. Economists point out that this kind of unprecedented concentration impacts global economic growth and really deepens societal divides. The worlds of extreme wealth and daily survival have honestly probably never been further apart.
So, we've walked up every single rung of the ladder today, from the daily struggle to survive all the way up to extreme institutional power. Now you gotta ask yourself, which wealth rung are you currently standing on? And more importantly, what is the exact next step you need to take tomorrow? Whether that's building a $1,000 buffer or finally creating that stream of passive income, what is your next step to climb higher? Thanks so much for joining today's Explainer, and we will catch you next time.